All right, 6:02, May the 14th. This is City Council work session for the City of Bel Air Beach, and I now call this meeting to order. So are we going to have anybody call roll here today? Is Kathy here? Yeah. Please rise. Follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So Colin, you do the roll call.
Councilmember Frank Bankert. Here. Councilmember Todd Harper.
Here.
Councilmember Joni Shirley.
Here.
We have, drawing a blank here. And then Lloyd. So we got 5 left total. So Vice Mayor Lloyd
Here.
Lewis, Mayor Dave Gaddis is not present currently, and City Manager Kyle Riefler here.
Tom Travis, City Attorney.
All right. Agenda item number 1 is the continued code review that we've been working on for a little bit. And we're going to return to chapters 10, 30, and 94. Kyle?
Thank you. So I have it up on the big screen. I'm going to try to jump through my bookmarks that I created so we can all see at the same time. So I'm going to jump to my first bookmark, which is chapter 10, and it's page 16 of 31, if you're following along. This is going to be the only thing we're coming to in this chapter. So it's section 1077, maintenance and appearance standards. And this was adjusted as far as the off-street parking and in relation to the use of the turf, gravel, or mulch. And first I will read what the revision was for this section, and then I'll go to how it relates to chapter 94. So all off-street parking spaces and drives shall be paved with asphalt or constructed of concrete or paver bricks. We took out turf block, it gets added later, and shall be smooth surface and in good repair in compliance with city codes. And then we added the use of permeable materials, i.e. GeoWeb, turf block, gravel, crushed shell, etc., may also be utilized. Loose surfaces such as gravel or crushed shell shall require some method of containment, such as a 4-inch thick or 4-inch wide border material of paver block, brick, concrete, composite material, or equivalent, to prevent the float of loose material. For additional front yard parking, residents may improve up to a 9-foot wide area parallel and adjacent to the primary driveway. Parking on any other part of the front yard is prohibited. So we did that specifically, said it needed to be parallel and adjacent, because the worry was if we allow the rock near the edge of the road, that people just start making parking spots that way. And we thought it would be better if people use the auxiliary parking
Can we
parallel instead of
can we
on
add
the road.
one element to this,
Okay.
which is adjacent and parallel, but also within the setbacks? 'Cause it just says 9 feet of the additional driveway. It doesn't say if there's any setbacks or requirements. Does that
So
make sense?
yeah, so this would be all.
If you're saying if I wanted to add to my driveway, I could add up to 9 feet of width to my driveway, parallel and adjacent to my primary driveway. But what happens if that 9 feet is inside of the setback requirement? See what I'm saying? I'm just simply saying
The setback to the side?
setback to the side property line.
Okay. If it extended into the setback.
Correct. So I'm simply saying make sure that it's within the setback or within variance or code or however you want to word it, but just something that says that you're allowed the 9 feet, but it's not an absolute 9 feet. It's 9 feet provided you've got the space for 9 feet.
So currently, if you were going to install a driveway
Mhm.
and you want to do a round driveway, you can take your edge of the driveways
Right?
to the edge of your property line.
Okay.
So they can go there's no setback per se for a driveway.
I didn't know. So I can take my driveway to my property line.
Yes, there are some examples.
Okay.
So yeah, you'll see some round driveway, an entrance and an exit or whatever, and they'll have just a small area in between that
So
developed.
basically, I could have two houses side by side with each circle driveway, so I end up with like two half moons or like a rainbow bridge between the two, because it would be driveway touching driveway,
Yeah.
driveway touching
Essentially,
driveway.
you could, yeah.
Is that what we want?
It's something to consider because there is no code that specifies where a driveway can be located in reference to the property.
So most of our driveways run north and south. And people that want to add on don't want to go north and south, they want to go east or west.
Well,
Because they
yeah.
want- They want to expand that apron, they want to expand the front of the yard. Am I reading this incorrectly by saying I can move my driveway 9 foot further to my front door if my,
So say, an example would be you have just a paved driveway and it's somewhat, it's perpendicular to the road and maybe, I don't know, 10 feet from your side property line and
Okay.
whatever from the other side. So this would be to allow an additional parking space that could be built off of that paved driveway, made of loose crushed stone
But
or.
I think Frank's point is, he's going to the opposite side. He's not going toward the property line, he's going toward the front door.
which a lot of people have done.
Right.
So moving closer to the front door and
So
not
he's
really-
saying,
No.
the way this reads, that you could take 9 feet on either side of the driveway, and it would be statutorily
Most of the
correct.
driveways, like he's saying, are at the setback max right now,
Right.
minimum, I should
Right.
say minimum. So if I want to move my driveway, 90% of the houses would have to go towards my front door,
Mhm.
all right?
Right.
What I'm saying is, a lot of people have, over the years and before I was here, you can attest to this, have opened up that apron off of their street. So they ripped up the grass at the, I call the Miami curve.
Oh, and filled in
And
where.
they filled in, and that's not.
Which isn't 9 feet, but some
Well,
close
it's
to
not,
it.
it's not 9 feet adjacent to the driveway.
It's not perpendicular.
Yeah, right, thank you.
It's not it's perpendicular to the road, parallel to the driveway.
Correct.
Not, maybe 9 feet, maybe not, just filling in where the apron meets the side property line in that little space.
You need a what for it?
Yeah.
I know, this is like,
But,
Can you pull up,
like just a,
do we have a lot of these? I mean, I'm trying to figure out, is this, I know
there's
that,
more and more coming.
I know you had an issue
Yeah,
with
sure,
someone
different
kind of on your street parking along with the road. and-
Now,
Because you're talking about the shell parallel to the street,
Right.
perpendicular to the driveway. He's talking about the road, he's talking about the extension
Right,
perpendicular
right.
to the road
Yeah.
yeah, so you guys are talking on different sides of the coin here.
Pull like 116
Yeah.
8th Street.
116, all right. We'll go to your house, maybe. It's better to use someone
Two
here.
houses down from me, and that's been there before I was there.
Okay, I gotta share my screen.
And what did they use from a material
They
standpoint?
use concrete. but
Okay.
What I'm saying is,
This one.
it's opened up from
Ah,
the neighbor's
so
lot,
once.
you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
All the way to the driveway.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Is that it?
that's what I was picturing. I see this, the property line, and they
Follow
fill
what
in
I'm
that
saying?
side right against the property line.
But I don't want to spend 3 days on this, but if you go through this area, you'll see a lot of that.
Okay.
And you'll see a lot of it with the crushed shells and crushed, I've called you about people complaining about the crushed stones.
Mhm.
Uh,
I think this addresses the crushed stone aspect as far as floating and material, but hard concrete I had not thought about.
Yeah, so technically hard concrete, as long as you're not breaking impervious surface ratio, can be all in that area.
So are we still allowing that?
As of now, we wouldn't have a code that prevented it, unless we want to.
This wouldn't trump that, right?
So this code would just be to allow up to 9 foot wide additional parking that could be on a gravel or turf block or whatever.
So it wouldn't be that.
So basically you have that within code, but it would be a variety of different textures. You're talking about shell and you're talking about block and geotext.
So if you didn't want to pave any more, but you wanted more parking, you
Got
would be
it.
allowed to build off one more parking space off of the pavement, up to 9 feet wide, that is loose material with a border.
So if I submitted a permit for that, you couldn't reject it?
I could not, no.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yep. And then when
I
we
also
when we
have-
calculate pervious, this is also something to consider, is most about 15 to 20 feet in from the edge of the road is right away.
That's what I said, I thought that was
Um,
right away, yeah.
So that, all that concrete is in the right of way, but it's not even calculated into the impervious because it's not on their lot.
And the only problem I have with that is And you did a marvelous job on the flooding, on the nuisance flooding so far with the, doing the drains and everything like that, and piping and that. But when that water gets in that street, is that going to push loose material? You know what I'm saying, if we go with shells, I mean, I know
So that's,
shells don't flow,
back to
okay,
the,
but
like how we
you have-
staggered it.
You have a good stream of water coming in there.
Well, that was your whole,
That's what's not allowed with what it's.
What he's saying,
he's got a 4-inch wide border here as a mandatory component.
right, the 4-inch, is the 4-inch wide border going to contain that, is what I'm asking.
Oh, that depends on, I guess that depends on how deep you make the gravel or what's on the other side of the border.
And we're only gonna allow like non-floating. So, I mean, for the most part, we're hoping it doesn't move very far.
It's rock or shut, probably shouldn't be.
And I think the most important part of the border is more so to determine that this is a parking spot versus the rest of your yard, if it has rock, is not an approved parking
So your
area.
intent here is specifically to define parking situations and or allowed surfaces.
This came up because we do have some residents that have paved driveway, but then they have like the zero skip or some kind of shell built off of it, and they've been parking on it.
Got it.
And I guess what it does is it allows them for like, say they got, both their kids have cars and they're living with them, to just give a little extra without having to
Right.
install permanent pavement.
Got it. All right, good.
Let me get back to the code.
Sorry.
No, this is a good thing to look at. Okay, there it is. So I want to go to 94 though, where we talked about the gravel. Now this is,
What page is this?
it's up to Weissniger.
Well, normally I would say yes, but based on what happened the last time we had a meeting, I don't want to put us in that position. I mean, that whole thing was about allowing people.
Well, you're the chair, you can allow it.
I know I can, and I'm saying based on what happened, I don't want to put this group in that scenario where they said, well, the last time we didn't allow anybody to speak, and now we are letting somebody speak, because we're really not supposed to, right?
Well, we always
Oh, we
have.
can.
We can.
We can, it's at the
Okay.
discretion.
Go ahead.
When you have the other picture, the only thing I'd be concerned about if you widen the driveway is you got two water lines coming in. And the car, if you widen the driveway where the water lines are, and you got the meters and the car parks on it,
Mhm.
eventually you're gonna crush the meter box and break a water line. So if that meter box isn't properly supported underneath to carry the weight of a car, you're gonna have water all over the place.
Now, is that your area? Because my area, most of the water lines coming in are in between the houses where you, like he pointed out, the setbacks are already maxed out, or at minimum now, whatever you want to call it. So I'd have to go away from that water line.
Right, the
Okay.
neighbor across the street, widened her driveway over the meter box,
Okay, all right,
and it broke.
all right, yeah, I bet it would.
They covered the meter box?
Pardon me?
They covered the meter box?
The line.
No,
They went around it.
They
went over the
Got
line.
it.
they have put a little cap hole in
Okay.
it. What
Yeah, I
he's-
mean, there's,
But still, yeah, it's a
they
problem.
just cut the bricks around the meter box.
Uh-huh.
On and off with the car sitting there and the wheels sitting on it, it crushed it,
Not good.
broke the water lines.
Okay.
There's something.
So that's something we could.
Because the meter box is traffic grade, it's just, it gets pushed down on top of the water line. Okay.
There's nothing underneath it.
So is that some wording we would want to put in the ordinance that
Because there's no frost,
addressing?
because there's no frost line here, everything's
Yeah.
only like a foot and a half deep, so. That's the
I mean, at
problem.
some point, people have to take responsibility for the decisions
Yeah.
they make.
The other question is, what does the utility easement say as far as accessibility? I mean, yeah, I think ours runs up and down between the houses as well, so I'm assuming that's just, I just always assumed that was just a protected area because.
You couldn't build
it's gas-
anything
it's
over
gas
it.
and water and
Right.
fibers coming
Right,
in.
it's
so
a-
that's
yeah,
all-
it's a right of way,
Yeah.
there's utilities.
So they would come to us for a permit, and I think, like these guys are saying, that we would need to have the authority to say, you can't do it that way. To protect the citizen.
Yes.
Or do you put it in
Well, do
something
we
like?
require them to do a locate?
Your COLA.
Provide it, yeah, and
Or,
provide
yeah,
it.
or provide something that says, it simply says
Survey.
per city manager approval of utility variance or egress, or, I can pick the wording you want.
Yeah.
We want you to have the flexibility to say that if there is an anomaly, you want to be able to say no, because
Correct.
right now the way it's worded is you're required to say yes. Is that a fair
Yeah.
assessment?
And, I mean, this is more of a precautionary because
Mhm.
you should be able to build in a utility box in a park, you know, and it's supported if it's done correctly.
Mhm.
It
But
should-
it's then
you
after
should
the
not
fact,
drive
that's the
over.
problem, is the utility box gets put in, and then the driveway gets done years later, and they don't go back and rebuild the utility box to be to spec for that
Mhm.
driveway, they're just building around that box, to your point of, they're just cutting the bricks
They'll,
around.
they'll form a utility box, what he's saying is the pressure.
Pipes,
Yeah,
right.
right. Because they're not redoing the utility box when they do the driveway, they're just putting stuff
Yeah,
around
and
it.
it was probably not a car, if some moving van came in there and popped it, you know?
The other thing in my area, since we did the other round, there's so many feet away, you gotta stay away from a transformer.
I didn't even think of it. Yeah, you're right.
You gotta stay away from transformer as well. So,
Definitely
a couple different scenarios.
I would say, do we put something that simply says per city manager approval of variances or code or
Site plan review.
site plan reviews, it's something that gives you some.
I like
that.
You can put
Pretty
in a
broad,
COLA.
pretty broad.
So
Have
when
an
you're-
811 clearance.
So when you're putting in one of these, you should have it,
Yeah.
a review.
And that would be beneficial to the citizen because they may not be aware of the potential problem.
Right.
And you would be helping them by saying, we're not going to allow you to do that because, and then let them know. But there is a solution.
Yeah, it's just,
To fix
it's just, it gives us an opportunity to look at what they're doing and
Correct.
just make sure they're not gonna do that. Okay. And then, so on chapter 94, which is, it's gonna be page 10 of 75. And the actual section, I gotta scroll up, is 94-6, which is the green yard landscaping requirements for yards abutting public.
94.6?
What happened? Yeah.
I was like on 20 of 31, so I think you had 75.
Okay.
This is page 10 of
Page
75, and it's chapter 94.
Page 57 of 170.
57.
Of
Oh,
170.
I love the big numbers, yeah. So this is where we, determined what you could place where in reference to the edge of the road. And we have gravel, rocks, and stones no greater than 4 inches in length or height may be used within 4 feet of the curb or within 4 feet of the road edge if there is no curb. Shredded hardwood, pine straw, cypress mulch may be used in areas more than 4 feet from the curb or 4 feet from the road edge if there is no curb. Bark nuggets, wood chips, and all other forms of floating mulch are prohibited anywhere within the right of way.
Mm.
Seems like you're saying, there's a lot of words there, but not a lot of meaning.
So the last feedback I got was to specify exactly the materials and where. So that's what we tried to do, is say the exact materials that can go where.
I just like the whole shredded hardwood, since, you're basically saying you can only use it beyond 4 feet of the curb. Out of all that. So within the 4 feet, it doesn't really matter, it's only beyond. So I would simply just, I would just stand that up a little bit.
So I have to keep my rock 4 feet from the curb.
No, the rock.
Your pine, your straw,
Yeah.
cypress mulch,
Well, gravel rocks and stuff that are greater than 4 inches in length.
they can be there. But don't put this shredded hardwood or the pine straw within 4 feet of the curb.
Yeah, so that's the less. It's not as likely to float away and down into the drains, but don't put it right on the edge.
So what if I have just landscaping stone that's could be 6 inches or are they gonna?
Oh, I think that 4 inch is just so you don't have really large rock boulders, and to kind of give some
Some
limit.
dimension. Less than 2 tons.
4 inches. I mean, I've seen rocks. That's kind of getting pretty big.
Ever since I got this damn dog, I've been walking the neighborhoods and I've seen
You
people
see a
doing
lot of
it.
rocks.
Yeah, I'm not talking about boulders, I'm talking about,
They're
you know,
big.
we're gonna go.
The big, flat, gray, black
Yeah,
ones.
well, even the white ones,
Yeah, there's
like,
people for parking in grass or protecting.
Yeah, then there's some of those.
I don't know if that's gonna, I don't wanna,
The ones in the.
I don't wanna upset the neighbors. You're the one who's gonna get the,
I haven't seen anyone use anything larger than what I would call 4 inches in length or height, or how this is described, because that'd be a pretty big rock.
I seen stuff.
There are
But that wouldn't be like used as like a whole bunch of it, it'd be kind of just placed.
Right, there are some like in the cul-de-sacs, like trying to keep people from
Mhm.
running up on the grass, they're using a big,
Mhm.
you know, it's not a huge, it's not a boulder, but it's big
It's-
enough that it's gonna hurt the car if you hit it.
So you think that could cause an issue because people want to use that?
Well, here's the question, is there ex post factor of the law here where if I already have it and you pass it, I can be grandfathered in and keep it?
We don't,
You can't.
yeah.
No?
No, because it's not a structure and therefore it can't be considered a non-conforming use or structure. It has to be a structure.
So we can make them remove it.
Yes. And
Once
once
you
you change
change
the
it,
code,
then
then everybody
everything-
has to come into compliance with that. And usually you would give on those situations a period of time for people to do that.
Yeah, well, we always do, it's
Like 6
9
months
years,
or
6
2
months,
years?
yeah. Yeah, but I can't say, hey, I had this here for 3 years, and now you're changing the code.
Right, because it's not a structure. It would not be a legal non-conforming use or structure.
Yeah, I can think of one in particular where they have bigger stones and it looks like someone strategically placed these stones for days, right along the roadway.
I know a couple, and
Yeah.
I know one that was just done recently.
Right.
Which could be a hazard. Do you
I mean, I
support
think
it or
the
do you
4
not?
inch- I mean, I'm just saying, like, these stones are like maybe this big around, you know, they're more than 4 inches, I think.
Now, these are, I would say some of these are 8, a good 8 inches.
But they're kind of flat, like, it's not gonna.
So technically, they could be
It's-
4 feet
it's a-
from the
it's like a
road,
big
but
round
within the 4
stone,
feet,
and
you're trying to
it's
say,
bulky.
keep it within 4 inches.
It's actually like just a
Yeah, okay,
concrete
got it.
stone that just, they spit them out.
And especially if they have artificial turf, right, they're lining the turf with stone of some sort.
Lots of people have done this, and then they put like shells around there or whatever, and then they plant their trees and everything like that. It looks nice, but I mean, you're saying,
I mean, we don't have to have a size limit if you don't see that as being a problem. Because I haven't seen anyone try
I would
to
go
use a
for it.
whole bunch of big rocks.
I would
like-
probably go greater than 4 inches, just for some flexibility, I'd say 6 maybe. But the idea is you don't want anything.
just, how about just go with 8? And then-
Yeah, because I don't,
I mean, I don't want Deputy Trump have to go with his.
You don't want boulders
Well,
to
I'd
show
like to
something.
avoid having to find that.
People to go out there and measure.
Because technically, we're also talking about parking on the right of way, so if they're going with big boulders on their parking right of way, then they're obviously not going to be parking on their right of way.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So that's basically their choice of, do I want to block parking or provide parking, but.
And I think the goal is to stop debris from going into the storm drain,
Correct.
right? So we've got so
Correct.
much stuff going in the storm drain.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just thought it was sort of creepy.
So Tom, have you seen anything in any of your travels in this area that you have some comments on the size of the rocks?
No, I don't have any comments.
Okay.
yeah. So now we're going to chapter 30.
So what page is that on?
So it is, the second code chapter is page 17 of 17. If I find it on the first agenda.
So I have something at the top here that tells me of all the pages, like 60 of 170.
Yeah, I'll find out what the other page is. 17 of 17 is technically 49 of 170.
49 or 170?
Yes. And this one's pretty simple. It's where we talked about opening up some spots when we're done using the lot for material storage for the undergrounding, to open up some spots to allow some people that are on the wait list that haven't quite reached where they can get a boat in a slip, to enable them to be able to park a boat on a trailer
Okay.
while in waiting to get a slip. So, I don't have it all worked out yet, but I wanted to adjust the code, to leave the ability for authorized trailers, to be parked in the marina once we have it.
Could you say something like restricted to, or I'm saying the word restricted, but registered, restricted to registered boat owners and their invited guests? Because right now, the way that kind of reads is anybody could park there and it's their invited guests, and they're going to say that they're registered or belong to be in the marina.
So,
What are you thinking?
before this, it just said trailers should not be, trailers of any kind should not be parked in the marina
Right.
facility. So I wanted to adjust the code, so that the city did have the ability to approve parking of a trailer.
Got it.
But that would be the only adjustment at this
We
point.
wanted to, you're right.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, that's better. Okay, so basically you got it protected that they have to have approval to park and it's restricted to the invited guests and the owners.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because if we don't change it, then I would be breaking the code if I was to allow.
Well, are we gonna have to readdress this once Duke gets all their stuff out of there about maybe putting 10 parking spots in there, for rental?
So I don't know the exact timetable for ours to finish as well as the other storage. But the idea would be, I was thinking 2 or 3, with
Well,
some
yeah,
kind
I'm
of
just
screening.
saying, but yeah,
But to allow, they would be, designated spots for additional people in line for the wait list that, and they would be priority ranked the exact same way. Because we do have people that are in line and they're just trying to find a solution to store their boat somewhere and while they're
so
waiting.
will we taking the people off the marine list first if they want to store the trailer in there? Is that what you're saying?
Or are they still in line for the slip? if they-
I haven't thought that out yet, but I believe we'd have to offer in complete rank order of starting from the next person in line down.
Right, but after the first pass, you're going to have some people that have chosen not to take the parking spot,
Sure.
but still want to be in the marina
Yes.
reservation slip system,
Right.
and vice versa.
Right. So when one of those open, we would have to work through.
So right now,
I
all
don't
you're
expect
saying
them to
is
be-
you want to say that the city, they can't park there without prior approval from the city. At a later date, we'll address what the code says or what we allow.
You're right, because currently our marina waitlist policy is an administrative policy, so I felt we could adjust that to be in line,
Okay,
work with it. Good.
so we can be active in that. This-
And that is all I have for chapter 30. And that-
Just one question on number 11 there. Would you rather that say prior approval of the city manager or of the city? Because that puts an onus on you
City.
to go get.
We could say city manager. I mean,
I think you've got the discretion there to decide what's right and what's wrong from a parking perspective. I don't think that needs, because you say city, is that city council, is that city manager, is that, what does city mean there? I think-
City manager.
I would say approval of city
That's what
manager.
we said in other areas of the code.
That's what I would say.
City manager
Is
designated.
it go civic conduct?
That's a fair question.
That clarifies exactly who's making the decision.
Yep. Okay. All right, now we're getting to 94. Now, let's see, this chapter starts,
Is that 51?
5.
Yes, page 51 is where it starts.
Okay, 51 of 170 is where chapter 94 starts. And I'm going to page 4 of 75, or I guess 55 of 170.
Page, what-
Page 4 of 75, which is
Bottom-
53.
bottom of the page there.
So that's on page 53 of 170.
which section is it?
Okay, so page 55 of 170.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, 54. Okay, so we're gonna get back to. Okay. Okay, so basically, we're in the definitions,
Uh,
and this is where we added gazebo, because we needed a definition, because we added gazebo, and pergola. We got a definition for pergola as well. So that it relates to detached buildings, which were before this only allowed to be sheds. This opens the opportunity for residents to have a gazebo or a pergola in the same area that they would be allowed a shed. But it would have to be in the exact, let me get to that.
And it's permitted?
Let's get to that section. Yeah, it has to be permitted.
So the Eureka palms cannot go over 8 feet if they're a hedge.
Can't remember the exact section.
Existing grade.
Detached buildings, it's 210, 94-210. And
30.
so right here, a utility storage shed, and then we added a gazebo or pergola to be erected, and it has all the same criteria. Sheds, gazebos, and pergolas are accessory structures and may not be erected. Parcel that does not contain a primary structure. We added that to that section because of the, after the hurricanes, when people got rid of the primary structures. But yeah, so that's the definition to go in line with that section.
You know, you're getting complaints about baby fences obscuring someone's view. You're setting yourself up, for a lot of complaints.
Yeah, so this would in a waterfront lot, it would have to be out of the water setback.
Right.
So it'd be limited there for blocking a vista. I did get a proposal from a resident recently that wants our planning and zoning board to consider these type of structures in the water setbacks.
What's the water setbacks?
So that they were proposing that not only do we allow these on the landlocked lots, where they're out of the setback, but to allow them in
You get
water
the structure
setbacks in
analysis,
some
the
areas.
boundaries of where the structure can sit.
But you're right, there are,
You're going to create.
yes.
So,
Is there, okay, so they are still limited
The same 100 square feet limitation?
Yes, everything is the exact same.
Can you do both? Can you do both? Can you do a shed and a gazebo?
Let me read that.
Because you can't have two sheds, right?
It just says, a utility or storage shed gazebo may be erected. It says A of any of the or, so one of these.
Okay.
So you couldn't do a shed and a pergola or shed and a gazebo.
So it'd be a
One of those.
utility or storage shed or gazebo or pergola.
Mhm.
Is that the correct wording?
I don't know how many we'll get. I've seen,
I see sheds and gazebos people trying to package them together, saying, oh, I've got a shed for my lawnmower, but I want a gazebo for my pool.
So, any more comments for that? Okay.
Is that an accurate mile per hour of current code? 135?
That,
That was 150.
I think we got this as a, I think this came as part of flood code, when we added this to our code.
I'd go higher.
But I have to check the origin of how we got that.
So anybody that wanted to put a detached building on their lot would have to have a permit request through the city.
Yes.
Okay.
You definitely need a permit. And the way the county for building does wind velocity, it's all about where you're located in the county. So depending, because they would need to review, well, actually, no, the county will not review these detached buildings. So I can ask the opinion of our planner as far as wind ratings. But I'll look back to try to figure out when we added this code, which it should be right down at the. Oh, no, it doesn't show it. I'll find out when we added this code. Get some background on it. Check the footage.
Yeah, that would probably require, it wouldn't be easy to get that certified. I think if somebody wanted a pergola put in their backyard, and if we required them to be able to sustain a wind velocity of 135 miles per hour, I mean, that's going to take like a structural engineer to evaluate
It
that.
should, yeah.
Nellis County's building code requires 145 to 150 miles per hour.
Mhm.
So yeah, they would need engineer drawings
Right,
to certify that.
okay.
Again,
And that's a good thing, because we don't want it
that's a
flying
definite.
around.
Could we change 135 to be something that,
Oh, now it further says minor storage 135. So that's probably where that's coming
What
from.
could we
Okay.
change that something that's something 135? Could we do something to where it meets county code or county
Yeah.
statutes? Or
Yeah.
that way when they change, ours change automatically versus
Yeah,
having
good
to go back
idea.
and have a hard number back and forth?
So something relating to the building code?
To meet, yeah, to meet.
Yeah, Kennedy Building.
I would,
Yeah.
No,
I
it's
think
not a
anything we have a hard number, I just have to take those out because of the flexibility. So if they change their number, then our code would update automatically with their.
You could word it in such a way that says, to agree with the current county building code, which currently states 135 miles per hour.
There is no county building
Yeah.
code that applies in the city of Boynton Beach. You have to apply the Florida building code, and that's the only thing that controls what you're doing.
Okay,
And I would remind you that when you're trying to make these things more restrictive, because of that Senate bill, every little more restriction you go is one more reason why the code is not going to be changed until 2028. So if you leave it alone, you're going to at least allow them to meet the 135 mile an hour requirement. If you increase it, then it's subject to be struck and be deemed void.
Okay.
Because of the change in the law.
So you're saying because it is currently 135 as it reads, that we don't change it because of what it would be struck down?
Well, it says it has to meet Florida building code already, so don't make it more restricted than what it currently is. So that's my advice to you. Otherwise, we're going to have to put an effective date on whatever changes you're making 2 years out. So the adding of the gazebo and pergola is not being restrictive, it's being more expansive. So that's not something that I'm concerned about. You're allowing more things to happen versus taking away things. So those are all good things to add. And when you start monkeying with making things more restrictive, then we're going to have to wait. So just some thoughts on that.
good advice.
I would leave it alone then.
Yeah, good advice.
Does that go with the tower too?
Yes.
Talking to 20, did he ever get back to you on that?
They were telling me 28 today, and I asked them to give me like whatever they got, the most up-to-date date for that and where they got it from. But from what I understand,
No, I just,
Could change.
I got two residents, I told them, I said, I don't think anything's gonna happen until 2028. They said, well, why don't you put it in the code now, like he's saying, effective? I said, well, it's 2 years down the road, and one said, no, it's actually October 2027, it actually goes into effect. So I'm not gonna argue over 2 months,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, I still have them working on it, and we talked a little bit more today about how we want to design it, but,
But
yeah,
we're not gonna be able to, as he would say, monkey with it till 2028.
it sounds like that currently.
But that's, just so they put this to rest, that's a Florida statute that we can't touch. So like he was explaining, you know, because I met with the tower guy too, and he agrees that 2028, he can do whatever, more or less what he wants. Nice guy, I mean, but it is what it is.
Okay, so now we're on page 4 of 75. I think where we were before. So yeah, under the definition of hedge, we removed, we had bamboo in there, but we are going to remove bamboo from being a approved plant in the city. So we removed it from there on the definition of a hedge.
I know one resident we have.
Let's see. Jump to that.
Now, again, we'll give what, 6 months to have the bamboo removed? If this goes, if it passes?
Let me get to that. I think it was either a year or 6 months.
It's gonna be a hard task removing bamboo.
It's hard to stop it from growing.
Yeah, once it's in.
Yeah.
Okay, residential. Okay. So these are just, at the recommended. Last week said just to change it for what the planner recommendations were for the residential medium density, floor area ratio, and impervious surface ratio.
And that's just what the planner suggested.
Yes, that's,
Suggestions.
yeah, no more than that. Okay. Page 24 of 75. There was another section that mentioned the density, so we changed it.
No, that's when where we had the chart where the current density was already well above
Yes.
our stated density.
Yeah, most of those properties are already at a higher density, so the recommendations were based on that. Mhm. Let's see, 25 of 75. Now another area density had to change. Okay, and then we were just at detached building, worked through that. Page 40 of 75. Okay, so this is section 94-251 fences, walls, and hedges. So this is where we're going to talk about the safety fence for the pool. But one thing I skipped over prior that we talked about in the planning on zoning board meetings, which they were okay with, and this is as far as hedges in the front setback. I propose to allow, I'm not sure what's going on there. I propose to allow up to a 6-foot hedge in the first 10 feet of the front setback. So that would be from the building line or the front edge of the house, 10 feet towards the road. So 10 of that 25-foot setback that everybody has.
But it's from the house, not from the road.
Yeah, so it'd be 10 feet from the front of the house towards the road. So 10 feet of.
They can go as far as 10 feet in front of the house setback.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means they can basically abut the new parking space you just put in. Just use it.
It gives them a little bit of flexibility over 3 feet to extend a higher hedge. because we're getting a lot of that, and I was trying to find something in the middle.
So remind me what the right of way setback is?
So if you were to look at like Bellevue, State Island, or Harrison, it's roughly about 15 or a little more from the edge of the road.
And the others.
That's usually, that's like throughout the city. There's some areas, if you were to look at like property appraiser and that, where they come in, but it's,
Got it. It's a 15 feet, it's a good
most
general
areas are
number.
very large right
Well,
away.
you just call it Bellevue Estates and Harrison, so I wasn't sure.
Oh, yeah.
So the hedge will have to be low? for that
It could be up to
15
6 feet.
So-
It's gonna be 6 feet high,
I know,
10
from
feet
the
from
house.
the house.
Actually, I have diagrams that let me jump up to the diagrams. That'll help.
And what's the setbacks on the front of the house? 25 feet, right?
Here's some pictures.
I think so. So I'm saying that. That's the more decision.
Let's get to the correct one. Here we go. Here we go. This shows it laid out. Technically, I gotta set that back from the road a little bit because it leads you to believe that the right of way is smaller. There's actually, there would be a larger space in most properties.
Where's the front of the building?
Front of the building, is where it's the other 10 in orange, so that would be your 6 foot.
Okay. And then you have 3 foot for the remaining 10 to 25 feet, or would you do they have the
Authority to plant in the right of way?
We do not,
Prohibit?
well, we don't, it's technically the city's right of way, so it really shouldn't be anything right away.
There shouldn't be, but we're allowing it. We're not enforcing anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Just know that it can be ripped out at any point.
So basically, what's in yellow there is basically
Basically, the city space, and we have the ability to do what we need to if we need to.
So what's in yellow is technically their property. It's just the last 15 feet of that 25-foot setback.
All right, so you're saying between the dashes at the far right of the yellow line and the roadway is another 25 feet of little bitty space?
15 to 20. Yeah, that little bitty space should
Okay,
represent
so-
more.
Okay,
Not to scale, but, okay.
Not to
Got it.
Oh, it needs-
Got it.
I just noticed that when we popped
So
it
the
up.
one question I had, just real quick, is from the road to the front of the building, on most of our lots, what is the setback?
And every lot in the city, from the front setback is 25 feet. So from the front of
Okay, so it's the 20.
where the
So
house
that
is
25
built,
feet, that
should be at
25
least
feet
25 feet.
total
to the
right
lot.
there is the complete space between the road and the house.
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And we're saying they can go 6 feet high for 10 feet out from the building, and then beyond that, it's 3 feet.
So you know that you have almost every house in town it has hedge to the road, or pretty close to the road. So you have to have everyone
It's-
with all their hedges. Is that
Well, it's not everyone, but there's a lot that, with the current code, are violating 3 feet. There's some that are violating the whole right of way.
So it's the
I was just trying to get somewhere in the middle, like a happy medium to hold people to.
So you're essentially raising the 6 feet as a raise. You're
It
basically-
is.
So
It's relaxing.
So,
the restriction.
to a legal perspective,
We are empowering, we are not inhibiting.
No.
so therefore,
Yeah.
this is
It's not a
not
bad thing for the residents, because we're giving them more flexibility to go to 6 feet.
What
Yeah.
about that tree in the front corner? Is that going to be something that has to be removed or no? Because it's a tree or?
A tree is fine because it's not a definition of a hedge.
Right.
Okay.
So then it has to meet the definition of the hedge, which is defined.
which is the
Right.
2 or more
Right.
plants.
Okay.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
But my goal would be to get this, adopted, and then go through and educate with
Yeah, because I think you're going to have.
with a time to correct.
Sure.
Similar to what we're doing with bamboo, or
I know you say it's not more restrictive, but there's a lot of homes that don't meet, I don't know what the current code says, but there's a lot
That are
of
higher than
homes
3.
that are going to be affected by this.
But if he's actually improving it, it's not taking it down.
Yeah, but have you driven around the city?
No, I'm saying, but right
I
now,
know.
Right now, the whole code is 3 feet, right?
Yeah, but
Right.
most of them are.
And now we're gonna let
Yeah,
it
there are-
go
Right.
6.
Yeah, they're in
Yeah.
violation now, but we're improving it, but it's still
We
violations that we're just.
might remove people from violation.
Yeah,
No.
all right.
Okay.
It's closer to what is existing currently. But I think this is a more realistic code to enforce, you know, to the distances.
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't we take it 6 feet to the right of way and then it has to drop down?
Visibility triangles.
Right, but if you've got a 15-foot setback.
I believe I originally had that idea and we were looking at A Street and we were worried about how it would change driving down a street and the appearance of the layout and the lots. We were worried that bringing it all the way out to that property line at 6 feet might be a little too much.
You didn't Lynn do that? Didn't he try to come up with some kind of scenario
I don't,
using his street?
I know he worked with the hedge definition
Yeah.
with some of those, but I don't recall within the front setback.
I don't think I'd want to put it in the street.
No, I'm not saying to the street. You've got a 15-foot right of way, right? So from the street
We jump
back
back to the,
15 feet,
Right.
you can go
So
the 3
basically-
feet that he's proposing.
So basically, this yellow space is your 15 feet, okay, it's there.
No, it's 25.
No, it's 10 to 25, so it's 15 feet of space. Okay.
let's go to Jody's house.
So Jody's.
So here's an example, but that's the front property
How
line.
illegal can you
So
get?
This is probably on the lesser side of like closer to like 10. This on this side, it's more like the 15. Her road's a little off center. More so, like if you look at,
She's on that radius.
you know,
Yeah, I
when you
know,
get
it's
here,
further than theirs.
you know, it's about half the 30 feet, so about 15 feet here. So you would be allowing, to get a good front.
So would that tree have to be removed or? would
No,
you
just the
call-
hedges, just the hedges.
If you go back to my street, I mean, there's plenty of good examples.
Okay.
of that hedge being-
Because if that's what Lynn was arguing about with the one guy,
Go
hedges and trees.
down to 14. It's hard to tell, but there's a line.
Palm trees.
Yeah, and there's a line of hedge underneath there.
Oh, I see, the shadow.
And it's really hard to tell, but that's almost every, I mean, the ones that were replaced with rock.
I'm trying to think of, I know of a,
You know, the one where, the truck. Anyway, it's just something to think about, because I think that,
that looks sort of like
you
a,
know, so when you see from the white line out, if you said just no hedge or something along that line, I think you're gonna get a lot of people have to.
come back some.
Yeah.
Interesting how the grass is different, must be really bigger than the lots are.
Now here's a good example. That looks like it comes pretty far. And some of these, like maybe right here, it looks like a hedge. It's
Mhm.
coming all the way down to the road.
Everything except tree from the top to me.
So-
From the top.
If you were to hold it to just to the right of way, then they would be allowed to take that hedge 6 feet to here.
Right. And then have to drop.
And that's all.
Then drop it 3 feet or not have it,
Right,
or have a tree.
right.
I hope we're going to increase Deputy Trump's time allotment.
It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot.
It'll,
It's going to drive it nuts.
I mean, does anyone feel the way that Member Shirley does, about 6 feet?
I'm good with what she's saying.
6 feet all the way in the front setback?
It seems like when I hear
I don't think it's.
2 or more, that doesn't seem like, under the definition of a hedge. Like if we had 2 bushes, that would be defined as one of the allowable bushes for a hedge, and if we say 2 or more, then that's a hedge.
I know.
Are
That's
the
not
two
very
or
many.
more- Is 2 or more defined as touching or budding as a main hedge? Or is it
Yeah.
2 more as in it could be 3.
The hedge thing.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
See, hedge means 2 or more closely and densely growing bushes or shrubs along a property or boundary line that is generally obstructs a person's view through it.
Okay.
And then, what we added was to try and get some clarification on like areca palms, because
Correct.
those things grow tall enough, they're not really a hedge.
So I have something that's not an areca palm, but it looks like it stays tight and condensed, and it doesn't grow crazy like the areca, so that's why I didn't buy that. But, so would that also be, I mean, because it's a bunch of, and what do we have currently in the code?
That's the definition?
What's currently in the code with regards to hedge in the front yard?
It's just, hedge means 2 or more closely and
No, I'm
densely.
not talking about hedge.
Oh.
Setback.
What
Or-
does it say about
Height.
hedges on your
What is,
property line?
what's the current height definition?
So hedges in the front setback can be a maximum of 3 feet in the front
Is what it
setback.
says, correct?
So we're approving this, but we're also raising the
But we're
conversation.
changing the description of hedge.
Are we changing the definition?
Yes, you have to. Well, we chose to because of,
The bamboo.
well, we added areca and bamboo as part of it, but then we removed bamboo because we're gonna prohibit bamboo.
So we're something more restricted here, but we want to be more liberal on the other side. We're giving them more height, we're changing the mix of the plants.
So a comment or a question, sir?
Look at the cul-de-sacs on the end of 22nd Street and the end of Louisa. People there years back, and even to this day, prefer the hedges as close to the roadway because there was no privacy between the pie-shaped lots when you have just about the width of a driveway at the street.
Mhm.
Did you pull that up?
Yeah.
That's what I.
So this is 22nd, and it's probably a better example at the end of Louisa. So this is an example. See how the hedges, they provide privacy?
They have no yard, they have a driveway.
Exactly. Have to, or at least leave
The
them.
problem was just privacy between the lots, 3 lots on the end of the cul-de-sac.
Right.
So they had requested if they could bring them further out to the street.
So can we just have them do that by variance? Can we code it and then variance it if they need it?
Or we could do the exception inside of the setback. I mean, not in the setback, in the cul-de-sac. Exception in the cul-de-sac.
It's worthwhile investigating. I'd say, do you want to do an exception for cul-de-sac? But then again, every road in the city's almost in a cul-de-sac.
Then we're all facing the same, all of our lots are covered, you know.
Yeah.
I think that,
These are
keeping
exceptions.
it higher
I mean, it's 31 feet wide.
to the right of way. Keeping it higher to the right of way, and after the right of way, drop it down there. The right of way gives you plenty of view from pulling in and out of driveways and so.
And then we do have the site triangle code. So if there is, so that's how we're governing the right of way is by the site triangle. So that if you can't see, I have to find exactly where.
Right, that's the purpose, right?
So it presents a hazard in that situation, then it would.
So technically, they looked at,
I just don't want to upset neighbors that have been here, like he said, for up to 10 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Trump knocks on their door and says, you gotta rip it out.
Yeah, we don't want to
I'm
do
in an
that.
awkward
Yeah.
position.
And that makes sense.
As a retiring, I quit. We are gonna be putting it
do you grandfather existing landscaping?
on. Cannot, it's not a structure.
To your earlier point.
So we're trying to correct the code that says 3 feet. So I would say take it 6 feet to the right of way.
So just say 3 to 6, that's it, and then
Yeah.
correct it.
Yeah, to the right of way and just leave it alone.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
go
Does
with
that
that.
work?
It might be good if you have some of those.
That would work for
Basically,
these guys.
You're doubling.
Those are not over 6
Yeah,
feet.
I don't go down there, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You see this all the time, do you think that will work?
Carlos said he thinks it's not over 6 feet.
I would say
You've got
that.
the people at the end of 22nd Street that I talked to, and the people on the end of Louisa, they wanted those bushes all the way out to the front because it was,
How high are they?
well, they got them 6 foot high. Just for hiding their cars, you know,
Yeah.
when they're in the driveway from the other neighbors.
So go 6 and go tighter on code enforcement.
So I, they
Yeah.
end up with our.
That's what I'd like. I'd like to get somewhere where we can say it's good, like you're beyond where you need to be.
Go
But
over 6 feet and you're now
This is-
excessive,
yeah,
and that's a reasonable code enforcement conversation. Versus at 3 feet to 5 feet, it's like, okay, we're talking about between my knees and between my chest kind of thing. So that's splitting hairs. So 6 feet to the curb
And that can be maintained.
or
run
right.
it to the front, the right way. And then this takes us to the mesh pool safety barriers. So what we have currently is mesh pool safety barriers around the perimeter of a pool meeting the specifications of section R4501, whatever, of the Florida Building Code are exempt from the maximum height specified in this subsection, provided that such barriers do not remain in place longer than 24 consecutive hours. Mesh pool safety barriers that do not exceed the maximum height specified in this subsection may remain in place for longer than 24 consecutive hours. This,
What are you saying here?
I know.
I know, it's tricky to think about because this
I
is,
just got a
If
headache.
it's one height that's gotta come down, and if it's another height that can stay up.
so in most cases,
What's the height?
What is it?
So the
I think
height-
a typical 4 feet.
4 feet from the inside edge of seawall, 12 feet inward. Has,
Now, are we talking about the mesh barrier
I'm
itself?
about to hear, I mean.
What's the maximum
I
height?
don't
I know,
know.
I
I
know.
don't know what that is.
those
I
are
see them
typically 4 feet.
4 feet on the mesh barrier, okay.
The mesh barrier fence is 4 feet high. So if I have a 4-foot mesh barrier, I can leave that up indefinitely.
At your house, you could, because you wouldn't be violating the fence. But in the situation that we looked at previously, you have the seawall and then you have that retention wall
Right.
that raised the back elevation of the property. And it's one of the properties that has the pool within 8 feet with the engineer letter of the seawall edge. So that creates a 4-foot space in that situation where, because of, we factor in the elevation of that wall, like on the property, it's written into the code. So like in that 4 feet area, they're violating the code.
Okay, but so
In
they
that
have to
situation.
take that 4-foot fence down every day.
In that one specific situation, yes. And
And if he forgets it,
in
and
that
if he falls
guy's,
in and drowns,
well, in that guy's scenario, because I've been trying to understand what he's doing in
I
his
understand, but
situation.
I'm looking out for some kid getting out of the house and falling in the pool. I don't care.
Code still says you have to have a fence around the property too. So
Yes.
so we're talking about a mesh around a pool specifically as an inner fence
Within
around
the
the outer,
property.
with an outer fence
Which
protecting the
most people
property.
do with small kids.
Right, and insurance requires the outer fence at a minimum.
What he's saying, in that situation, because it's over 4 foot, it'd have to be removed.
Because of the combination of the elevation of the property line and the pool deck being
Yeah.
raised.
So
My
the
house, it
other,
wouldn't have to be, but his.
yes.
And
So-
I can't.
So the other option would be to just say that if a pool safety fence is installed around a pool, then it's exempt from the code.
Okay, I'd go for that.
So in some situations, it could be violating technically the height of a fence.
I think what's happening though is they're using it as
As a
a
fence.
safety fence for the seawall too. So they have a big pool deck area and they've got the entire, they don't just have the pool enclosed, they have the entire deck enclosed. To bring greater
I just-
clarification. I
You're
don't,
putting a mesh barrier on the seawall?
The way they did it, they wrapped it,
I was looking for the pictures.
yeah.
Which properties?
Hmm.
I just haven't, let's see.
Yeah, it's a
Do they
tough
have
one, I'll
kids
try to
leave
find
out, or-
email.
And it became a safety net for the kids to play in the backyard and not have to worry about them falling off the
Seawall.
seawall. Right. I mean, it's still a step down to the seawall, and everything, but it's, when I look at it, it makes sense, like why they did it. Doesn't
Yeah,
look great.
I mean,
It doesn't look great. I'd rather see like a little PVC picket fence or something, but that's not, it's serving its purpose.
when after the kids become 5, 6, 7 years old, they'll probably
Take it
move
down.
it. I'd rather
So from a
do an ice store for a few years and say to the kids, what,
From a code perspective, this is talking around the perimeter of the pool. This is not at all talking about the seawall example we're talking about here, right?
Oh, here you go, yeah, 16-month-old short.
Here you go.
Oh, God. So they're using that as an inner and outer, so basically they've got a safe play yard area with the seawall
Yeah.
fenced in, the pool fence, and then they've also got the pool fence so they can be on either side of it.
sounds like responsible parent. Like,
So we're talking about a space that is 10 by 10, 12 by 12. I mean, it's a big space, is what you suggest.
I mean, it's a pretty decent sized pool, but it's fenced in addition to the pool being fenced
Good.
in with that mesh fence.
So I get these, the download.
I just don't think we should mess with it. I think
Yes.
we leave it alone. We have one scenario in the city and
one, yeah, I agree.
So basically, we're going to say that the code should follow the section 4501 and just remove all the conditionals. Is that what I'm hearing?
that's what I would suggest.
You agree with that?
Yeah, so around the perimeter. So in the situation we're talking about, here's, I'm trying to get this picture to show up. I share this screen. Just the other. That maybe? Yeah. So it comes from like this side, goes around the pool,
Yeah.
and then extends down this way. And that's a good view right there. Let me get to that. I lost it.
So
Right
is
there.
this okay, is this basis of a complaint or is this the basis of a code violation that we found? Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, here's a good shot. See how it runs on the top of that, that retention wall or whatever? Yeah. Mhm.
They're going to benefit of the height of the fence plus the benefit of the raised floor.
I thought it was.
Either way.
So he's protecting, he's trying to use it to protect the kids from falling off into this way too.
Yeah.
Would they be allowed another fence type?
In that spot, no, because it's
So it's really,
They would have to lower
it's really
it
no
height.
fence or no fence. Is there a, it's
It-
a real option there?
It's because they got that retaining wall and they raised their property and we have that.
Can you go back to the picture of the two retaining wall?
Yeah,
The second
that
one?
one?
That one, yeah.
That's what, I mean, that's what my neighbor has.
But is that allowed? That's my question.
That's the question.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, that's a 4 foot.
But that's on the seawall, is that allowed?
Yeah, that
Because
is
that's-
allowed,
because
as
that's my-
long
that's
as
my
you don't have
question.
this situation.
That's my question. So you're basically saying this would be legal if it was cut to the
Proper height to match the maximum height based on the seawall height.
Yes.
That's one option. Okay. So they're
Basically 2 feet over height on mesh because
because of the seawall
Yeah.
element. Okay, got it. That's an interesting build. It's an interesting way they built that. Why? I don't know. Never mind.
Yeah, this has been a challenge as far
I
as
just don't,
this
it's
whole
mesh, you
code.
can see through it, the picture you showed, I'm just like, I don't see.
It looks very clean, it looks very,
I mean, I don't like it, but that doesn't
most
mean
people
it's
use the
wrong.
black bowls, people wouldn't use that structure.
Is the other option to tell them that they could mount that mesh fence on the seawall actual, which would basically do the auto adjustment?
Yeah, if they want.
And then they could move
Good
it
deal.
forward and drop it onto that seawall, and that would give them the proper height maximum.
But it would lose the benefit of height on the raised space.
In this guy's situation, he's only using it while he's there with the kids, so the 24-hour rule works for him.
I think we should go back to her suggestion, maybe,
Just simplify it, yeah.
So he does take it down?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he was willing to take it down. He only wanted to have it up while he was out there with the kids.
If he's willing, then, if this is the outlier and he's willing to
This
make
is
that
the
accommodation,
outlier.
then I would say just, yeah, leave it alone.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna run into too many of these.
I don't think so either.
Well, we don't have a lot of new building going on, so it'll all be corrected with new permits, so.
But it did originate from a complaint, like Todd was asking earlier.
Was it a
So a
complaint?
neighbor complained?
Yes.
Okay.
Because in most cases, I would never know a mesh safety fence was installed in someone's
Right.
pool deck. I would just not know that. It's very limited.
Okay.
Let's see, back to. There we go. Okay, so it gets us through that. Did that. And then we added a definition for amateur radio station antenna structure, but we're not done with this code. It just was added because we didn't have one. I removed on the solar panels is the ground mounted solar. We're gonna remove that. So we're gonna say they're prohibited only on the roof. Because the county apparently allows ground mounted solar. We used their code as a template, but we wanted to take out.
So we are adding A or we're taking?
We're adding that they're prohibited. Ground mounted solar panels are prohibited.
Okay, and that makes sense based on
Yeah.
the geography and real estate we have per line. That makes sense.
And that is all for 94 that gets us through.
Can I do pole mounted solar?
Pole mounted, that would be ground mounted. So it would be, it would need to be on the roof system. And then the main thing is, we just want to make sure that it doesn't create glare, because that is a real issue for some people. It creates the sunlight glare right into their windows.
the side of my vinyl. I melted my vinyl flaring.
Kyle, you want to talk about 94 too?
Oh, correct. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so that is, what's the section number?
94-209.
94-209. Get up
It's on page 30 and 75.
there. Okay, thank you.
right?
Yes. We ran into an elevation project that we had to review our height code. Let me pull up my language.
And we changed the code specifically around Gulf Boulevard, right? In the last section.
Yes. The height code, let me get back to it once I get into.
Yeah, 24 above, 24.
Yes, yes, that was a minor change that we did.
Okay.
What can you go up to now with Gulf Boulevard, like if you're on the corner of Gulf Boulevard? I had a resident reach out to you, and he reached out to you this week, and Gary, is he still in his house?
Yes,
now? Yeah.
yes, I'm gonna call him tomorrow.
Okay.
Currently, I mean, it's the same throughout the city, so whatever your base flood elevation is, +1, you can go 35 feet on top of that total elevation.
Because he wanted, I think, total 40 feet, and I was saying.
He should be fine, 40, yeah. I wasn't sure what his ask
I
was,
didn't want
but,
to tell him, because I knew
Yeah.
this was going through right now, where we were discussing, I didn't want to say yay or nay, or whatever, have to call you.
so, this one, at the end of all the height specifications, it read, variances to the provisions of this section shall not be requested or granted. But we have someone who is, their lower floor was damaged from Hurricane Helene. They had recently remodeled the house, so they did put a lot of work into it, but they were under the 50%, but then from the Hurricane Helene, it damaged the whole lower floor, so they're looking to elevate the structure completely as built out of the flood code, so it's an elevation project. But to elevate that lowest floor to the BFE +1, in the current architectural style of the house, it will raise the height of the overall structure to higher than 35 plus, 35 on top of the BFE plus 1. So in this case, they need a minimum of an additional 3-foot variance for this situation. When I discussed this with our planners, consultants, you know, this to them is something that we should allow because they're mitigating from being in the harm's way of a flood.
I'm just against it.
I think they would just lower it 3 feet less.
Oh,
I think they raised it 3 feet less to keep them within the 30
But
feet.
so then they would not be to the building code requirements because you want to be out of the flood.
So what's the elevation, the base flood elevation for them?
Their base flood elevation is 9 plus 1, so they have to be
So
at
they have
10
to go
feet
10
elevation
feet.
on the lowest floor.
Yeah, I didn't think that. Problem. I mean, when did we stop? We had a 35-foot height restriction. Then you guys, because I didn't vote for it, voted to do it at the base flood elevation plus 1, plus the 35 feet. It's ridiculous. I mean, when do we stop? So we're looking at,
So-
this will be, it'll be 10 plus, then you're telling me their house is currently 35, 30, their house is currently 30,
So-
they're already at the 35 height limit? Is that what you're telling me?
No, so their structure is built the way it is right now, but they have to raise it out of BFE plus 1, so at least 10 feet that lowest floor. But the way it's built, the elevation of the structure from its lowest floor to the top of the
Probably 10
roof
floors or something,
is
yeah.
higher than that 35 feet.
So the option really is either you give them a variance or they tear the house down and start over again.
Well, I don't think
Or
we
don't raise it.
can, I don't think we can tell them they cannot mitigate themselves and bring their house to code.
But you also can't mandate a variance on something that's specific to the way they built their house, so.
So what is their
So
current?
this situation-
Hold on, are they being required to raise, or this is a choice?
They're not being required per se, but the goal I think we have is we want to get everyone out of
No, I understand
the
that.
flood zone
I'm
if possible.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think the bigger question I have is, okay, we want to mitigate them out of harm's way, but at the same time, we've got to mitigate them within the rules and regulations of the city too. So at what point, to Joe's point, do you say the rules are the rules and you need to mitigate within the rules? Because you're saying we're going to modify a structure to get to baseline elevation to get them where they need to be for floodplain, but we're now going to void another rule to get them to meet one rule, they got to void another rule.
So we're essentially saying, in this situation, it's worth it because of what they're doing. We're gonna allow, so the only way you would be in this situation is if you improve the structure or you have an existing structure that if raised to the BFE plus 1, it would exceed that 35 feet.
We would never allow
I think
somebody
a
like
lot of
with
the
new
elevation
construction.
projects are lower style structures. They're not those type of elevations. This one is unique. But if for someone to be able to be granted one of these variances, they would have to have an existing structure that they want to do an elevation project on.
Is this house currently, if it's already at 35 feet, it means it's probably a newer build,
It is.
and they probably had parking under the house?
There was no parking. They will have parking. after
So
the
did they grade up the yard?
No, they built it at the grade.
Well, after they get that elevation, they'll have living space underneath.
So it's already 3 stories, I'm gonna assume?
It is 6 stories.
So
With
we're
living
gonna
on
have
it.
a 4-story house, basically? And a fire sprinkler in the house?
Well, if they're doing the elevation project, they'll have to do fire review and they'll require it if they don't have what they need.
Now, how do they have living accommodation on the first floor if it's a relatively new build at 3 stories?
Let me check on the 3 stories.
See, mine.
So are they seeking a variance?
How the structure's built up, you know, not-
Right.
Yes, they're seeking a variance because they're submitting plans to elevate their structure.
Right.
And we're reviewing it and we're telling them that
You're above.
they're violating that height code.
Right.
But then you read the code and it says you can't apply for a variance. So right now, they're stuck in a position where they can't, the only way they can get out of, to where they need to be within code, out of the flood, out of the BFE +1, is to elevate what they have. Otherwise, they'd have to do a demo rebuild to come into code. So that's a
Or just leave it at grade. Something like it.
I know, but I think with all our flood code and all the rules we have, I don't know if that makes sense. So no, it's a 2-story.
Yeah, but I know.
It's a 2-story.
Oh,
It's just tall.
I've
It's
seen,
just tall.
that's the one that's been under rehab for 5 years.
Yeah, they put the second floor out.
Yeah, they put the curved architecture with a square roof and then you get the weird mesh gable.
But a lot of it could just, be the design.
No, they just did all that. They've been under
That's all
construction
they-
for several
yeah,
years.
that
But that's like a 1949 rehab, refresh, redo. So they would take that whole thing and raise it up another 10 feet.
I don't know the exact numbers, but whatever gets them to the, because they're higher. They're not at 0 right now, so.
I think I'm with Jody on this conversation. As far as there's got to be
We gotta have
gotta be a
it-
hard
we
limit
gotta
somewhere.
have- Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like those, the houses at the end of Howard, I think it is, where there was a lot of question about, they wanted to do a roof deck or something that, we wouldn't allow them to do. I don't know whatever came of that, because I was not on council, but Lynn initially was trying, I think it was Lynn that was handling it. They wanted
Yeah.
a roof deck, and it was not allowed, and
It's still not allowed.
yeah, so, but because it took them up over the height limitations, I think was part of the reason. And we gave them a hard no. I mean, we've done it already in the city. We've told people no.
I see 2 things. I see one is that by saying yes, you're opening the opportunity for this to happen again and again. And 2 is if they have been structurally modifying this house for the past several years, which they have, I don't see a reason why they could not make a roof modification for that little cap over the thing that's, we're talking 3 feet, so they could make a roof modification with the raise. They'll probably come in.
So what's the downside to the owners now if we say no?
They could challenge us.
But there's a little,
There's a high likelihood they'll file suit, and there's a high likelihood that they would succeed under the law, the legal research that we've done on this issue. We've provided our comments to Kyle on it, and we are recommending this change to be made. Adding this change is not a free-for-all. This is only in certain circumstances, and it's only when it has to do with meeting compliance with the flood management regulations and/or the Florida Building Code. So this is not an automatic grant. This is the possibility of asking for it, like any other variance that can be asked. We're just taking out the sentence that says you can't ask for variance on this.
Right.
So, and we're very concerned, and I'm just reviewing the emails that we've sent relative to this issue. There are cases that have found that this type of regulation where you don't allow the variance is arbitrary, unreasonable, unjustified, and confiscatory. So there's lots of case law on this particular issue, and so we had recommended a change, and this is the language that has been suggested by the planner. There have been some other changes to it, and Kyle and I agreed that those weren't necessary, but our legal opinion is that you should allow at least a variance in these particular situations. Obviously, it's never happened before. This is a one-off. We don't see it happening all the time, but you can avoid the litigation because, we're telling them that if they build their home pursuant to the Florida Building Code, the floodplain management regulations, that they literally cannot build it because of our other code provisions. So I'm very concerned, and my recommendation to you is to allow this change to be made. And one other change that's not here that Kyle and I talked about before the meeting, and that's to change the word requested to considered. So variance to the provision of this section shall not be considered unless, and the rest of the sentence would go on. So we're recommending that change to basically keep you out of litigation.
Okay,
I buy that.
that makes sense.
So if I sort of summarize this, so what, see, this is correct. That property could apply for variance, but doesn't guarantee the
Correct.
variance. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
And then maybe the discussion of
Right.
that little,
Right.
you know, it's really, when I see it, it's just that one
Structure,
little
yeah.
structural roof.
Which they
all right.
had.
Yeah, that little roof piece.
Okay.
You know, maybe-
I'm okay with that change, with the
Right.
idea that a variance can be issued, but isn't guaranteed,
And
is fair.
they don't go to Pinellas County and get what they want anyway.
So Kyle, why don't I see this particular additional sentence when I'm looking on the attachment for the meeting
No,
tonight?
because
They were just
it was
working
kind of
It was-
after the fact.
okay, still working on it,
This
okay.
as a separate
All right.
issue.
Can you change the word requested to consider?
Yes, that was
Yes,
the
that's
one.
what
Yeah.
my advice is to Kyle.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the one thing I had to say.
Good with that.
Yeah, so we're all in agreement with that?
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And then I need to check on timetable, but we were looking to do a first reading, probably the June regular meeting, unless, expediting it is gonna help the situation that we could build a special meeting off of another meeting night. Which I need to bring up as other business, if we're doing a work session this month, but we can talk about that later.
Okay,
And that's just with regard to this one code section.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not talking about chapter 94. Because of the current construction project, we think that we should move this along a little bit
Yes.
quicker than everything else. So this will come to you separately than the rest of the changes that have been suggested. That's my recommendation.
thank you. So you said that's gonna come up later, Kyle, under, all
Well, so,
New
yeah, we'll
business.
talk about
Okay.
business, but
right?
possibly timeline. Okay, so now that wraps up 94. We'd be moving to the next item if everyone's okay with that. Is everybody good to
Can you
continue?
get back, this is, yeah.
I know,
get all-
this is really a lot of work.
Yeah, I have to go all the way back to the,
Okay, yeah. So,
What's the next item on?
let's go back to the agenda. So we finished, now we're up to code review, chapter 86 signs.
okay,
That would be the next item.
next item. All right, Kyle, go ahead.
So my goal, this is the most recent draft, let me jump to it, that was provided originally by Attorney Mora. He built it all around the case law to protect the city. So it does have a lot of the recitals in the beginning, the whereas, but for good reason. We don't need to look at that as far as following the code. But then as you get down to the 12th page of the document, it gets into 86-1 definitions, and then the way this is laid out is the yellow highlights are like the quantities, the amounts. Those are the variables that we would adjust per Bel Air Beach. The blue highlights are just the statute references. So what I did is I marked off each one of these areas because I'd like to use this template. I think it's a solid template that Attorney Moore put together for us, but tailor it obviously to the way we want the signs in Bel Air Beach. But I think this is important. We have not had a sign code in place that is, prior to this, we had some legal challenges and problems with it. So coming up on this year's election season, it would be a good idea to have a sign code in place, especially for the temporary election signs.
So are we comfortable that in its current version, it's safe to say that, as best as we can tell, there won't be any legal challenges the way it's written?
So
Yeah.
the answer is yes. So when Randy prepared this night, obviously I wasn't here. I went back and I read every single email and every set of meeting minutes that you had on this issue, trying to get caught up on it. It looks to me where it started off was in 2022. You've had several different public meetings. You had one in November of 22, January of 23, February of 23, April of 24. Those are the ones, and where it left off, from my understanding of all the minutes, everything that I read, this draft that you have in front of you is the final draft, except for one thing. I found one change that you requested that is not in this draft, and I wanted to talk to you about that. But it looks like it's already gone through each here, and it also went before the planning board, and everyone was provided with the legal analysis and some comparable code changes, and I think 6 or 7 other cities, so that you could look at those too. But the only change that I could gather from reading all of this over the last couple of years is the flag section, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention to remind you, because I think that this was Councilmember Banker's suggestion from the February 23 work session regarding flags. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Remember that?
And it currently reads 2 flags and 1 flagpole, and it was suggested that it be changed to read 1 flag no greater than 5 foot by 8 foot in size, and then 1 flag no greater than 3 by 5. So 2 flags, but you were doing a measurement on that.
Primary board.
So that's on page 40 of the ordinance, section 86-21. So that's the only other change I could see based upon everything that I've read, unless you want to make further changes tonight.
I guess my only question would be on the secondary flag, why go for the secondary size? Because not all flags are available in multiple sizes. Some people might say that I'm being prohibited from displaying my primary flag. And do we say the primary flag is a U.S. flag, or do we say that it can be any flag they want? Their pole that they want.
Any flag.
Okay, any flag, okay.
So it currently reads 2 flags not greater than 40 square feet, which obviously is 5 by 8. So it's just changing it from 1 40 square foot flag to a 15 square foot flag. 1 and 1.
Is that, I'm asking, I don't have an opinion, is that reasonable?
It seems like it was something, you were talking to someone and it was a veteran or someone who had a pretty strong input on that, as I recall.
Is that changed currently on this document?
It might be Zabel, I think.
It's not in
It's
this
not.
draft.
Okay.
That's why I'm bringing that to your attention.
Thank you.
I can find the minutes, and let me just read it.
I don't think it's nice.
I think it was actually John Hanson
Is that-
that wrote it up. God rest his soul.
I didn't understand the purpose, but it made sense when it was presented.
So this is what it reads under your minutes of February 23rd, 2023. Under item number 1, it's titled Discussion of Proposed Ordinance Regarding Comprehensive Sign Regulations, and then City Attorney Moore. And underneath that, it says consensus of council was changes that had been made were correct, and to change section 8621, signs allowed in all districts, no permit required, to be 1 flag no greater than 5 by 8 and 1 flag no greater than 3 by 5. So that's the only thing that I have. I don't know why I was thinking it was
Was there a time limit on that, or is that just anything?
just anything. Anytime, keep it out there.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so everybody's,
I got neighbors now that like to put a bunch of them up. Looks good, I mean, but now are we gonna, this is before the 23rd.
Is this 2 flags on 1 pole, or is this 2 flags total? In other words, could I have a flag on my porch, like a house flag, and
Good
then
question.
have a U.S. flag as a flag in my yard?
It says
I'm not trying to split hairs. I'm just
No,
trying
that's
to-
a good question.
for each detached dwelling unit in the RL district,
Right.
2 flags.
2 flags or 2 poles?
2 flags.
So I
You
could
can have as
have,
many poles as you want. Just-
No,
but I could have a house flag on, I could have a house flag on the eve, and I could have a US flag on a pole, but I couldn't have a state flag under the US flag.
one flag
That's a
pole
better
is allowed for each single-family residential.
That is better. That
I don't
is-
finish.
What you just said, put a United States flag up, and then you put a
State
state
flag.
flag underneath that, and then you want to put a Penn State flag underneath that.
You gotta take one down.
2 flags.
Or I'm saying you've got a Penn State flag on the eve of your house, just hanging from a flagpole,
Right.
it's a separate pole
We
altogether.
may handle it, we may already handle it.
So for each parcel in the RM district, 4 flags, not greater than 40 square feet in area each, may be displayed.
You
Two flag
got 4 mini
poles.
flags.
2 flag poles are allowed for each parcel in the RM district not to exceed 35 feet in height.
So it's covered.
So where would we add that change you're talking
It
about?
would be in paragraph 1.
Okay.
And if you wanted it,
You change it from the 40 to the 3 by 5 to the 4 by 8.
yeah, that's what the minutes say. Be whatever you want, but you can regulate the size.
Is there a reason for the change?
It's not reflected in the minutes at all. It just says a consensus.
I believe it had something to do with either John Hanson. So one of the veterans got up and said, is there some correlation to the American flag and the size of any secondary flag hanging with it?
Right. The US flag's always the highest, it's always the largest.
I think you're on the right path, and I can't.
I don't remember why.
It was something to do with, just so, like you pointed out, the 2 flags were wrong up there.
Right,
It was-
exactly.
I always look at
And I
that.
should, it was flag etiquette, all I know is
Yeah,
that.
that's it.
Okay, and I don't know, and I apologize, I don't know the whole.
Let's see if we can Google it.
So we could leave it as it is, or we could
Restricted.
add what we just went through.
Yes.
We're either keeping one as it is, or we're restricting the size of the second flag.
Correct.
I don't see a reason for the change, but I'll go with I'll go with the consensus.
It doesn't seem like we can remember exactly why we wanted to change it. I mean, I'm fine with leaving it the way it is.
It was something with flag etiquette.
Yeah.
And I would never challenge him on that.
Oh,
Yeah.
neither would I.
Yeah.
Right.
But I can't remember.
Hmm.
Maybe we can always revisit this down the road.
I said we
If
can
it
leave everything
creates
like it
problems.
is. There's no need to.
And you can put more than 2 flags.
Okay, so we're just going to leave it the way it is. We're not going to make that change that was suggested in February 23.
Right.
Correct.
I'm seeing consensus.
Yes.
Everyone shaking their head. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That was the only change. Otherwise, it's exactly how it's been approved all the way
Perfect.
through the process so far. The last email or thing that I could see is that Mayor Gaddis had requested, after that change was made, that you would look at it one more time and bring it back within a week. And obviously, that didn't happen because of COVID or whatever the reasons were. I don't know, Kyle, maybe you know, but it didn't come back.
Could you go back to the time limit? Is it currently in the template at 60 days? For flags? Or signs?
It depends on the type. Which type, because the 60 days was in that first, what I think it was.
Those are the definitions of
that's
abandoned or
60 days.
discontinued
The
signs.
86 one,
Yeah.
the 60-day definition. So I question,
Are we keeping that or are we changing that? Because that seems to me excessive to have an abandoned sign for 60 days.
Well, I think it gets into the type of signs too, whether they're temporary or, let's see it out there.
I mean, that's what it is, but I think that could be trimmed down.
30?
I think 30 is reasonable. But the bigger question you go back to is what is the definition of abandoned and discontinued?
Who makes that determination and how is it flagged? Is it a code enforcement flag?
Is there a definition of that?
This is a sign,
This is a sign.
it's not a flag. And so if, for example, you have one of your condominiums have a major marquee sign out front and the light bulb is out for more than 30 days, you'd be in violation under your suggested change. And this gives them 60 days to bring it into compliance, whether it's a bad light or it's been damaged from a storm or whatever.
So are we defining sign in sign structure as permanent structure, permanent sign structure?
It would be any sign. And so this is, you know, if you don't maintain it for 60 days,
I'm just saying that I'm just saying what you're saying, I understand, but it sounds very generic to me that there's really
Temporary signs and there are permanent signs.
Right.
And temporary signs should not be abandoned for 60 days, but a permanent sign changing a light bulb in 60 days is reasonable.
So it's like, I just see delineation between the type of signs.
you know, so it would be going into those different categories underneath that.
Think it should be shorter, they should fix it.
Yeah.
Well, the
30
question I have
days,
is how do you determine the time and when you determine the clock starts as far as the definition
Until
of.
somebody calls it
Well,
in.
that's the tricky part, we have to identify it, and then that would be our mark.
So I'd say, I would go
30 and say the clock starts ticking when it's been identified.
Okay.
So it could be 2 months
That's
before
how I
somebody
would
identifies it, and then still gives you 30 days to fix it.
I know we went through all these numbers, you know, the number of days and things like that. So, whatever everybody wants today, that's fine. 60, 30?
30.
30?
What we're,
You do a 30?
I heard
30 it is.
30 to
Okay.
If there's a mechanical problem, I'm sure we'll get that.
We don't have to activate the clock.
Yeah, right. I'm just saying, if they couldn't get a part to fix the sign,
Mm-hmm.
give it another week or two.
Okay.
I think that's an Officer Trump's latitude conversation. When does this definition begin or the clock start?
He notified.
Make sure we get the right answers.
Was there any, with the amounts, like when we go through these, did anything else jump out, or
No.
we were fine with how they were?
We've gone through this over and over.
Okay. And I mean, if we did identify a conflict that we weren't aware of, I can bring it to you, we can make it
Okay.
adjusted.
So when would we bring this forward to approve?
I mean, this one's kind of ready to go.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could do
Perfect.
first reading.
This stuff cleared
Yeah.
out.
let's do it.
That's great.
Okay.
All right. I had the occupational license chapter because the mayor had mentioned that in our regular meeting. We were talking about rental registration and how it's done. So this is currently what it says. Get these out of the way.
Is this in our packet?
Get it bigger. This might have been left out of the current. But I just wanted to, because we had it in the original. Let's see if this is- Yeah, we did not have it. But we can come back to that, because again, I didn't know why you wanted to take a look at it, but he did ask that, so I just wanted to mention that.
Let's leave it so we can read it.
Yeah, my bad. My bad.
Okay, one question.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't make the January 31st deadline, what happens?
So this is where I've read it and interpreted it. People don't know at the beginning of the year if they're going to rent. They're considering it, but they're not sure. So they don't want to pay it right at
No,
January.
I'm with you there. I'm simply saying what happens.
So what I've done is we tell them, if you don't decide that you're renting early in the year, if you decide later, let us know before you start your renting. And then what I would do is just tack on the late fee.
So the
Because
$100 there is a late.
It's later, but
So
you know.
what is the registration fee itself? I don't see that.
So the registration fee is not written in here, but it's currently $300 per
So
year.
why don't we just say they have to register within 5 days of signing a lease or something like that? I mean, you know, give them, if they don't know, it's by January 1st, if you're already a regular renter, but if you decide to rent, you have to within 10 days or something, give them, you know, based on the lease signing.
So if I put my house up for rent and I don't rent it for 90 days, I don't have to pay anything until 5 days before.
Yeah, just the
Is it,
lease
okay,
signing.
here's the question. Is it $300 a prorated amount?
No.
So it's $300 whether I register in January or register in December?
Right.
Yes.
And I wouldn't play with that, just because.
No, I'm not asking you to. I'm simply saying that from an owner registration perspective, I've got no financial gain to do it later in the year because I'm not paying more. I'm going to pay the same no matter when I do it.
Right. It's just a matter of, you didn't know you were gonna get a job out of state and have to
Right.
rent your house, so, until August, right? And then you rent it in August.
Right,
So
right.
that- So it gives you that ability, you know, you're not gonna get hit with a late fee. That's the benefit, right? You're not gonna get hit with a $100 late fee.
What's the fee? I rent my house, and I don't register it, you catch me.
It's a code violation and typically pay your rental fee, and then if it was late, we throw on the extra 100.
Yeah, I think that should.
So the code violation is
Way up the
basically,
ante on that.
the code violation is paying the fees that they would have already paid, but there's no additional penalty for not having paid it until they got caught.
Yeah, that's what.
So in this
$100.
situation, they would get the late fee.
Right, but
If-
what
because they
we're
got
saying is
caught
that
with
I don't register, I rent my house, I get caught in July, you're gonna tell me that, okay, I didn't register, I've still gotta pay the $400, but I got no out-of-pocket penalty other than
Right.
getting caught. Because if I didn't get caught, then I wouldn't be up to $400.
Yes, that's what I.
But provided they get caught. And the penalty you're saying is, the
When you
penalty
say
is the fee they
400
would have been paying.
It's $300
Just
plus
try to get
$100.
everyone compliant, right? And you don't have, I mean, I think the girls in the office pretty much catch anyone who hasn't registered. Most people understand that they have to register. So I don't think it's a huge problem now that you've gotten most people registered, right?
We-
There's still a few.
A lot of times, if it's questionable, like a short-term rental, that's usually, it may not be a short-term rental, but that's usually where we discover that they may not be registered, and then we'll ask them that they need to register, and then we'll find out what's going on.
So would it be better to say, instead of additional assessment, it could say additional processing fee of, because it basically becomes city overhead
Right.
for processing of your late transaction. I'm just trying to make it not worse. It is a penalty, but it's not a penalty either, because it really is an overhead, it is a burden to the city to do it after the fact too.
I'm not sure if we can, but if we could revise it to be registered to advertise for rental, it'd be a lot easier to enforce.
That's a good way to
Because
do
it's
that.
so much easier to see an advertisement for a rental than to tell them.
That's fair.
I'm good with that.
So what we've been doing is when we're seeing that advertise for a rent, we've been doing like educational notices, just kind of like, just if you didn't know, this is what.
So do you put something on there that basically says when a property is presented to market for rental? And that way it could be advertisement, it could be word of mouth, it could be Zillow, it could be whatever, but I'm trying to figure out how you catch the most variables with the fewest number of words. I don't like the January 31st element, just because it feels capricious. It's like, I don't know what I'm gonna need, I don't know what I'm gonna need in October, but I've gotta pay a late fee because I didn't do it in
A
January.
lot of residents catch people, believe it or not, Airbnb, even though it's 90 days. They'll say you need to rent 90 days, and that's
Yeah.
how they catch you.
Yeah. I like the idea of upon advertisement or
Yeah.
upon presentation for rental or,
Pay the fee.
and if you're gonna put it up for rent, then you're basically taking care of all the fees that go along with that rental.
I'm good with that.
And then we would just identify it and ask if they pay it. What if,
And if they don't pay within 30 days of the notification, then they're due for the late fee. Or something like that.
okay,
Make it a true late fee for what it is.
they get a true late fee, and then tie it to like when you actually decide you're gonna rent and advertise.
When you present it for rental, whether it's a rental contract or a Zillow or an advertisement or a Facebook or a whatever you do to present it to the market, if somebody sees it or you present it, then you should be registered.
And then will there be a penalty if we see it and you're not registered?
We call them through for the exact same penalty process you talked about here.
So
which
just
is-
a code violation, but,
Yeah.
and so do they pay more, or do they just pay the fee that they're due to pay?
They pay the fee since it's gonna be the same fee no matter when they pay.
Okay.
it.
And we're not prorating it, so
So it's really we're
they're not
just-
getting a financial advantage of it, they're only just not getting caught yet.
Yeah, and then it'll be easier for us to enforce because all we gotta do is find the advertiser.
Right.
And then
Right.
it's just a code violation until they get that registration.
Yep.
Okay. I'll talk to the planner to figure out the language we can.
Is that fair?
It sounds like a better system,
Better system than it is now.
Yeah, because the annual and in January, it's strange. And then you tag on if they don't decide within that month.
Yeah, but he's saying with the date. I look for a renter in November, and I get a renter in December. I'm going to try to skate through the $400 until January. So when you advertise, you pay.
And you pay for the rest of that year wherever it is.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then new.
You
We gotta pay the next year as
Because
well.
that takes care of another scenario that could happen. So what happens if this scenario played out? I bought a property April the 1st, and I decided to rent it August the 1st. I'm completely outside of these windows, so therefore I'm technically in penalty before I even bought the property. Right? Because I didn't register by January 31st, so therefore I owe the $300
Yeah.
plus the $100 late fee because I
Right.
missed the January
Right.
31st deadline, even though I wasn't even within the resident
You had
boundaries.
no intention to buy
Right.
it.
Okay.
So I like the flexibility upon intent,
Yeah.
or however you want to word it.
Good idea.
Okay, sounds good. We'll work on something and bring it back.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm being too vocal this time.
thank you. All right, so that gets us through the agenda to other business,
Cool.
or general business.
General business.
Okay, I have in front of you guys, I gave you a budget calendar for fiscal year 26-27. I just want to point out the most important dates, which is in September, in the kind of oranges highlight, which is the first public hearing and the final public hearing. We need to have a quorum and hold those hearings. So those two dates are very important for attendance, if there's any kind of conflict.
So the 9th is on a regular scheduled day already.
Yes,
Okay.
we typically will do our regular meeting and the first hearing on the Wednesday after Memorial Day, so we cut that in line. It's just later because Memorial Day falls later this year. And then from there, we would advertise on September 16th, which that's when it would be in the Times. So we would hold our meeting on Wednesday, September 9th, and then we would submit to the Times on Friday the ad that would be posted on Wednesday, September 16th, and then we would hold our final hearing on Monday, September 21st.
Good.
Okay.
And then from there, we backtrack. We have two workshops, one in June and one in July. And I currently have the June workshop date as June 22nd and the July as July 27th. So those are Mondays, and those fall in line with the fourth Monday of the month, which is our typical work session time period. So I thought that should work with our current schedule. And then every other meeting is just regular meetings that each month built into the schedule. But, the hearings are most important, but the workshops are also important for planning and just working through it, so. Does anyone identify a conflict, or do the dates look okay?
I might have a conflict on July 6th, but
Okay,
to be determined.
okay, that's a regular meeting, okay. And then,
Do you have any expected tools available to help with the revenue estimates based on what the government's talking about with taxes?
from what I saw, the most recent things they've discussed, it doesn't seem like it's going to make the impact that was originally
Good.
we were predicting. Now, the other thing is the effects on the taxable values this year. I'm expecting that they're going to stay our taxable values stay about the same when it usually goes up. somewhere between 5 and 10.
Okay.
But I think we'll level off. But I'm not expecting it to decrease drastically where it's going to decrease our annual revenue.
Good.
Our ad valorem. So
It won't have that.
I'm excited to see what it is on June 1st. They'll give us the estimated, which are usually pretty close.
Okay.
But then we'll know for sure. So by June 1st, we'll have the estimates. So if we do need to make any adjustments to like what we're predicting on revenue side, it'll be early enough that we'll have time.
Good.
And then that covers the budget calendar. And I wanted to find out because we're making up. This is the April work session. We're making up tonight for the work session in May. It would normally be the 25th, which is Memorial Day. So would we like to do it that week on a Tuesday? The 26th? Does that work?
Yep.
Yes.
And the key, outside of the other items that you want to add after any discussion we have, the key item is going to be getting the new objectives we talked about for the strategic plan so that we can gear our budget based on those objectives.
Tied to that.
Yes.
Okay.
And where I'm seeing the holes right now is in the communication and community. We need some new objectives there. And also possibly aesthetics relating to code enforcement.
Can you circulate that again?
Sure. Okay. And let's see what else I have. I believe that covers everything I have.
All right. Any other new general business?
Motion to adjourn.
One day somebody's going to beat you to that, right? Motion to adjourn. This meeting's over.